for those that were not able to make it. All right. Okay, so I'm going to, first of all, my name is Mr. Eberhard. A lot of folks just call me Eb, which is short for my last name. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about myself right now. There's a project we're going to do where I'll introduce a little bit more about myself to you later in the next day or two. So I'm just going to go through some of the nuts and bolts of what's going to happen online and how this is going to work. So I'm going to share my screen and bring up some slides that'll help us just walk through things pretty quickly. Take just a second. At any point, feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions. Not a problem at all. Just jump right on in. So you should be seeing a slide. This is biology class, third hour of the day. Again, my name's Mr. Eberhard. A lot of people call me Eb for short. I'm sure you're already aware, but just to reinforce it, this is not going to be like last spring. Last spring was an emergency situation. Everybody was caught off guard. The quality of what you were exposed to may not have been great. It's going to be different in the fall. Your attendance and participation definitely count. All work counts and will be graded. Now, because we're all working from a new system on a new platform, we're going to have some flexibility. We're going to have some leeway. But work will be counted and work will be, you will be held responsible, just to make that clear. This you obviously already have. That was more for in-person people today. This is one of the first two codes you need. I will share the slides with you, but you may want to take a picture or write the code down now because you're going to need to get into this today. So Google Classroom is the management system we'll be using, and you can see third hour. Third hour is going to have this code right here, which is V5AO. That's an O, not a 0. So V5AO556. So please use that to join Google Classroom. I'm going to hold it on this screen for a second, just in case you want to take a picture or write it down. When you get into Google Classroom, you're going to already see about the first month worth of work is posted. So don't panic. That's not all for 1 week. All right, I'm going to move forward, going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When you get to Google Classroom, many of you have worked with Google Classroom before. If not, this is sort of the typical classwork layout. Our very first session is going to be on experimental design. We actually started in class today. So as I was talking about in class today, science is not a textbook. It's not a worksheet. It's not a movie. Unfortunately, too many of your science classes, you didn't do science. Science is something people do every day for a living. It's how we solve problems. It's how we answer questions. It's a process that has been used for centuries. And in class, we are going to do our best to mimic doing science. Not memorizing a bunch of information, but actually doing science. And scientists, again, they observe what happens in the world. They ask questions. They look for problems that need to be solved. They come up with possible answers. And then what do they have to do? They have to go test those answers. And that's where experimental design comes in. We're going to teach you an experimental design process that you will use multiple times throughout the year. This is not something you're just going to learn and be done with it. In fact, very little we do in this class is learned and then it's over with. But this is a process that will repeat itself multiple times throughout the year. So anyway, you'll go here. There's the learning objectives. That's what you'll be tested or quizzed on eventually. And then the labeling of the assignments is pretty simple. ED1 is experimental design assignment 1, which is what we started in class today. ED2 is experiment 2 for experimental design. ED3 is so forth, third assignment for experimental design. What I've noted here is you'll note there are no due dates at this moment. Those will be forthcoming. The reason there's no due dates is, one, we have classes meeting every other day. So some classes are on the red day, some classes are on the blue day. So setting a single due date is difficult. Also, we want to have a little bit of flexibility due to the nature of using a new system. So most things will be due within a couple days. Some things will have a very specific due date, especially if it's needed to move on to the next task. But we'll have a little bit of give and take on the due dates, provided you do not fall significantly behind, provided you don't take advantage of that. If you fall too far behind, like a week behind or something, then we'll have to have an intervention with you and your parents. For those of you that like to work ahead, I know it's not many of you, but some of you do. I do not suggest starting to work too far ahead yet. We have to get the kinks worked out. We have to see how this in-person and online student is going to mesh. So give it a week or two. Give it a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks before you start looking to work ahead. Eventually, if you like to, you'll be able to work a few days ahead. If you know you got a busy weekend coming up and you want to get your work done, that'll be something you'll be able to do, just not yet. When you open Google Classroom, you'll see this is a typical assignment. And right here are the two where I'm moving my cursor, right where I'm putting the red tail. Those are the two assignments. You can open those assignments up. They're all ready for you to type in and fill in, and you can submit your assignment right back through Google Classroom. We are going pretty much paperless, both in the classroom and out of the classroom, trying to avoid materials being passed around and handled. The vast majority of assignments will be submitted through Google Classroom. Most of the time, 90% of the time, you can click the assignment. It'll open up. It's got places you can type your answers into, and then you just simply submit the assignment back through Google Classroom. And that's also how I will give feedback. If you really are one of those people who likes to do handwritten work, it helps you to write things out and draw things out. That's cool. Just simply print the assignment, do it by hand, and then take photos with like a phone and submit your photos back into Google Classroom. But ultimately, everything needs to go into Google Classroom. Why? It's going to basically create an electronic notebook for you. Typically, we've kept a traditional 3-ring binder notebook with papers. What happens in Google Classroom is it puts all of your work organized into one folder on your Google Drive. And everything that you've done in class will be there for you to reference. So it's important that all work gets submitted through Google Classroom. In fact, I will not even take hard copy hand-ins for most work. We're expecting 100% electronic submission. If this causes any problem at any point, just let me know and we'll find a solution. Okay. Again, don't be afraid to unmute yourself and ask questions if you have it. I'm sort of moving rapidly, I know. This is a typical assignment. In fact, this is part of today's assignment. You can see I've got text boxes right here where you can type your answers into each one of the questions. This table can be typed into. Everything is quite usable. Students are meeting in class 2 to 3 days a week. Online, we're meeting, only required to meet once a week, though we will certainly do more than that most of the times. Right now, our pre-assigned time, so we're not conflicting with your other classes, is on Mondays at 1:30. So note that for online students, we are to touch base every Monday at 1:30 in a Google Meet. If we need to change that time, or if we make additional sessions, we'll talk about that as that becomes necessary. But you will have work 5 days a week. You will have a full schedule of work to do to keep up with things. And it's nothing you can't handle, but it's all going to be through Google Classroom. Quizzes and tests, we're still working this out. I anticipate most of the quizzes and tests will be online for you guys especially. It's just which system we're going to use and how it's going to operate. So I'm hoping to have that solved by the end of the week and be able to share that with you the beginning of next week. You won't see a quiz or a test probably to the middle of next week. So those will most likely be online. Another code that you're going to need is Remind. So for Remind, this is the code that you need. Please, please, please sign up for the Remind. It is the #1 way that I communicate changes, new information, reminders. Just text SC Bio 3rd to 81010. So please make sure you sign up for that. I'm going to hold half a moment in case you need to write that down or take a picture. I will share this slideshow with you. I'll put the slideshow into Google Classroom and I will send it through Remind, but that means you need to join one of them to be able to get access to it. I'm going to move forward in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. As I mentioned earlier, science is a collaborative process. It's a way for answering questions, solving problems. In a non-pandemic year, our students are sitting in groups. You haven't been in the classroom, but right now there's traditional desk in my classroom, which I've never in 35 years ever had traditional desk. We always sit in teams and groups and work in teams and groups. About 90 to 100% of our work is group work. So we will still be forming teams. I will pick the teams first semester, and our teams will most likely be a mix of both in-person and online students. I want you guys to feel like you are part of the whole process. I'll talk more about this next week. I'm just putting it onto your radar. Once you form a team, you guys will need to agree on a platform you're going to meet on. I don't care if it's Google Meet, Google Hangout, Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, or some other meeting system, and you'll have to come up with a mutual meeting time. Most likely you'll need to meet at least once a week, maybe twice a week to complete some group tasks, depending on what's going on. All right. Another thing that will be happening, because we are predominantly online, is we will be learning to use some new tools. These are the 5 tools I'm going to start with. I will not do them all at once. We'll introduce them a little by little. Hopefully by the end of the first month, we'll have exposed you to all 5 tools. And then we'll stick with those 5 tools for a little while. And then if everybody's doing well and things are comfortable, we might add another couple. We're going to start with Flipgrid. I'll talk about that in a second. Then we're going to go to Ed Puzzle, then Jamboard, then Pear Deck, and then possibly EduFlow. The nice thing about all 5 of these tools, as I wrote up here, all of these tools are designed to make lessons more interactive. It's not just something passive that you watch and fall asleep to. You're constantly being asked to give feedback, responses, information by using these processes. So the first one we're going to do is Flipgrid. Flipgrid is going to, that I'm going to post tonight or later this afternoon. You'll have till Monday to complete. Flipgrid allows students to make videos from, about 30 seconds to about 2 minutes in length in response to some type of prompt. Our first prompt is going to be about getting to know you and a little bit more about you. There's a lot of controls in Flipgrid that you'll be able to control how much is of you, your image is shared or not shared. So don't get too worried. When I post tonight's assignment, it will have a short video to explain how Flipgrid works. It's pretty easy. It'll have a link to join our class Flipgrid, and it'll have a link to the assignment. I will also have an example in there to show you exactly sort of what I'm looking for. Flipgrid is actually, if you've never used it, it's actually pretty cool and it's pretty fun. And it can be used for lots and lots and lots of different applications. So look for that coming out sometime this evening. And again, you have till Monday to complete that. Especially you guys online that I'm not going to get to see in person initially. It will be very helpful. So as online students, just a couple things to be aware of, and I've only got about 4 more slides here. First of all, you will be following the same curriculum as in-person students. We're not changing anything. You're going to cover the same material, be held to the same objectives. You will complete equivalent work. Most of the time, it'll be the exact same work. But on occasion, I may have to slightly alter the work. So that's why I say equivalent, because of your online. In the directions, there'll be a colored box, and it'll be very clear if it's necessary to say, for online students, make these adjustments. So if you don't see a colored box that says that, you'll do the assignment as written. If there is some adjustment necessary, you typically will see a colored box that says, online students make these changes. If you get an assignment and you can't figure out how to do it online, please let me know, because I may have messed up and missed it, and we'll make some adjustments. We will have a Google meeting at least once a week, as I just mentioned. Again, that'll happen at 1:30 every Monday for now. I will also next week introduce a way to schedule a meeting with me. We can do a one-on-one if you want. It can be either virtual or you can arrange to come into my classroom in person. Either way, whatever helps you best, you can come in one-on-one in person, or we can arrange an individual Zoom, Google Meet type situation if you need help. Please understand lessons for the day will typically be posted the next day for your online students. So like today, we did an activity called Designer Planes. I will be posting some information about Designer Planes either tonight or by tomorrow so that you have time to complete that by Thursday. It's a pretty simple activity that we did today. I'm asking that if you need information from me to use my email, which is right there at the bottom, that's going to get you the quickest response. I can almost guarantee you'll get a response within 24 hours if you use the email. I don't mind if you communicate through Remind or Google Classroom. I just don't always see it. And so sometimes it might get missed and the response might be a little bit slower. So if you want the fastest response, please use my email. And again, for online students, everything will be designed for you to fill in online. This was today's task that we started with. And that's the typical text box you would type into. So this is uncharted territory for all of us. Nobody's ever done this before. None of us has been through a pandemic before. So I expect, even with the best plans, there's going to be some changes as we move forward. We're going to have to make some adjustments. Don't let that be a frustration. Just roll with it. Patience and flexibility are going to be important. I will try to give you patience and flexibility. I will try to be as flexible as I can be, but please don't take advantage of that. And I expect you'll do the same for me. We will certainly have failures, and I don't mean class failures. We'll have failures of, there are some things we'll try and they just won't work. And that's okay. I don't mind that. But I also think we'll have many successes. So it's going to take a few weeks to work out some of the kinks. I think by week 3, 4, hopefully we'll have things up and running. And let's all hope that this COVID virus dies out sooner than later so that we can get everybody back and get more of a normal flow to the school day. So let me come out of this for a second. I'm just going to quickly show you Google Classroom. This is Google Classroom for third hour. And this is the front page here. On the classwork pages, we're going to have all the classwork. So again, we're starting with experimental design. Here's the learning objectives. These are the things that you're going to be quizzed or tested on. And we started with ED1 today. And I'll be sending you some information on how to do ED1. And then all you got to do is open up the document like I just did. And you just type into the boxes your responses. And you're basically going to be going up through this table right here. And I'll put that in the direction. That's as far as we got in class today. And that's where you'll need to be on Thursday. And you can, oops, sorry. And then here's our next unit, Module 1 on ecology. Again, don't jump into any of that yet. That's all got to be finished 100%. But you will see posted on here today the Flipgrid assignment that I mentioned as well. All right, let me pull out of this. So I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot at you here. Just trying to get information out to you. So let me be quiet for a moment. Any particular concerns or questions you have based on all that information? And it's very normal for freshmen not to have any questions the first day. But I want to give you the opportunity. Right. If you join the Remind and join the Google Classroom, I will share these slides with you in case you need to go back and look at something. If you don't want to ask online a question right now, you've got my email in those slides. Just send me an email and I'll respond to your question as well. All right. We're going to try to keep you guys connected to the class as much as possible. Try to make the experience as close to possible as it would be as if you were in class as well. I can't stress enough that If you need something, if something's not working, ask. Don't wait till it becomes a big problem. Ask early on, and usually we can find a fix. All right, anything else? Comments, questions? All right, well, I thank you for showing up. I thank you for your patience and time. Next time, most of our sessions will be more interactive. It won't be me talking at you. You'll be doing some things together in most of our sessions. All right, so anyway, thank you much. I'll let you guys go and get on with the rest of your day. Take care.